Welcome back to Just Africa. Yes, today is World Literacy Day. And of course, we've been on to Obi Nigeria, who has been, taking us through what literacy actually means. Obi Nigeria, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, glad to have you back.
Yeah, I was asking, you talked about literacy being different from the way it used to be back in the days. Most of us grew up with the mindset that when you say one is literate, you just have to know your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3. So I don't know, how is literacy different now compared to 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, literacy nowadays is far more different because of the technology invention. So technology, you see that um, if a woman in the village can use her phone to connect to someone in USA or Canada or Australia and still talk and see each other. And so long as she knows how to press the buttons and she knows she can send him message and all that. So literacy has really evolved compared to years back. So that's why when we talk of literacy nowadays, we can't remove digital literacy from it because they're interwoven these days.
People who still don't want to fall into or who are unable to come into the categories of people who uses smartphones. There are people who are still laid back. They tell you for one reason or the other they cannot use some of these technological tools. What happened to such people in our society?
Yeah, those are the divides that for example, the government and the global organizations such as UNESCO is still fighting to get people empowered. For example, in Australia, where I live, um, people are not, you may not learn physics or mathematics and all that as a subject for you to be literate. So that's the government can come in to empower these people, even those in rural areas, to have access to that knowledge of using technology. And it starts from there.
All right, thank you very much. Now, of course, you have media outlets, and you've been doing quite a lot, community outreach projects, that prioritize reading, digital literacy, and lifelong learning. So I'd like to ask you, how has your IT and media background influenced your approach to literacy?
Yeah, my IT background starts way back when I was in Lagos and we were selling computers. We are one of the first people that laid hand on on a PC, Microsoft and all those software. When the computer was just on 0 and 1 basics. So and it helped me to when I now went out of the shores of Africa and that knowledge of computer helped me to chase the part of IT, and it changed the story for me. So, and these days, even in some states, we have been we engage in some of the programs that let people know how to use digital devices. So, because if people are not able to go to the four walls um, of the school to get literate, um, I think some programs there are some different programs that still empower them to be literate, especially through the innovation of the media devices and other technological opportunities. So that helped me. The knowledge of the knowledge of computer really helped me to, progress in that part of information technology.
All right, thank you very much. So, in your own experience, which literacy challenges in Nigeria do you find the most urgent for economic empowerment?
First of all, major issue we have in Nigeria is part of the things we're talking about. You see how we've been engaging in this interview and we've been interrupted frequently because of the network failures, which should not be. There are a lot of things that the government has to do. A lot of things. The infrastructure provision of infrastructural um, devices. Then and also we talk about the security issues in Nigeria, security issues, especially in northern part of Nigeria and also coming out to the south as well, where people are by force deprived, of that opportunity to get education, uh, which entails as well literacy. So we have so many issues which, as I'm talking to you, I'm not even relaxed because I don't know when there'll be a technological interruption in terms of network failure. So we have a lot of things that still divide, create division between the literacy and illiteracy gaps.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Obina. Yeah, talking about crisis, insecurity, and the rest that disrupts literacy, knowledge acquisition in Nigeria and Africa generally. Well, when we come to that, the deprivation of knowledge, women and children are most vulnerable. What policy do you think the government has put in place to empower women with the right knowledge, with the right to go back to school, whether as a girl child? I'm speaking generally for the female gender right now. What do you think the government has put in place or should put in place to enable women to be educated and to have the required knowledge in nation building?
Yeah, as you can see by the data obtainable within the UNESCO database, you see that and in Africa, Africa is where you have most of people that are illiterate. We still have almost half of the population of Nigeria are deprived of that basic human rights, having access to literacy. So just above half of the population, and we know that we are people of about 130 million. So it means that about 50 million people are living without having that knowledge, that scale of literacy. So, and it's a big problem. And among those people, those over 50 million people, most of them are women. The most of them are women, and it stems from that, from our cultural background, and then out of school children, people that are supposed to be in school that have been removed from school due to poverty, mainly poverty, and then insecurity, because our system here is designed in a way that people get literate through school. So because if the people are not don't if people don't have that opportunity to be sent to school, they will be deprived of that basic, you know, right to get literate. So we have insecurity, we have cultural issues, and then we have economic issues, which is poverty. Most people can't even afford to eat, talk less of paying school fees, no matter how small it is. So these are the things. These are places where the government come in to make sure that these inalienable rights are made available to everyone. It should be a must that every person, since we still depend on the four walls, of school, to get education and thereby being literate, government should make those things available and even free.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. The last thing you said was where I was going to start from, or is where I'm going to start from now. You said government should make it free. I mean, back in the days, I'm sure you might also be part of it. A lot of our leaders have enjoyed or had enjoyed free education. Do you think that this could be one of the things that could bring back or could take children who are out of school back to school, could encourage people, encourage parents to enroll their children into school, so we'll have less? I mean, you said the population is 50% or up to 50%, don't have access to literacy. So do you think free education is one of the things that we need to really, the government needs to look at?
Yeah, free education should be what the government shouldn't even think twice to introduce. It should be something that's a priority, because by the time you make education affordable or free to some certain levels, every aspect of the economy of the society will be taken care of. Can you imagine a situation whereby more 30 million have access to education, and for example, in the next 8 years, you have more than enough doctors, you have more than enough nurses, you have more than enough IT experts, you have more than enough people that has the skill and knowledge, and that empowers the economy as well. And that creates also, remember that when people are educated or literate, I use education in this term because education is the foundation that also allows literacy to thrive, for people to have access to literacy. Because in this part of the world, we still go to school to get all those, skills. So when people are educated and they have these skills, they are literate enough, they could make informed decisions. They could make informed decisions. Joining crime will become something that is a deliberate action, not something that you are cajoled into or you are forced into. And then even terrorism will reduce. Will reduce. So look at what is happening in the northern part of Nigeria, where people, they call them bandits and all that. Why is this organized crimes thriving? They thrive because people in that part of the world are not, well informed. They don't have options. They don't have options to make informed decisions, to decide that, okay, these are the risks, or do I have alternative? If I can read and write and I have the power to create job for myself, then why would I go and stay in the forest and be bitten by mosquitoes and snakes and all that because I want to be a bandit? I'd rather be someone that is creating content and posting it online. I prefer to do that white collar job than to be in the forest. So they will be able to make, an informed decision, which will, have a better effect to this other part of the society, at large. So these are the things the government there should not be any afterthought. It's not something that the government should think twice to, create an atmosphere, enabling atmosphere and environment for people to freely have access to basic education, which entails literacy as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obina. So I understand that the media has a role to play when it comes to literacy campaign. So I want to ask, what initiatives at 9 News Nigeria, what initiatives do they have to promote literacy and information access?
Yeah, one of the things we do at Linus Nigeria is that we don't allow people to be manipulated financially. I don't encourage our editors, our journalists to be manipulated financially. You don't pay people to distort information. We don't allow that. And we are not funded by any politician. We are not funded by the government. We are independently funded by private individuals and myself also. So, because this information is part of the problem that we have in Nigeria and in Nigerian political atmosphere, where people resort to propaganda other than doing the right thing. What I mean is, I can tell you, whereas I am here in Nigeria right now, and if you look at the background and every other thing that will suggest to you that I'm in Nigeria, I can tell you that I'm still in Australia. And that is called disinformation. And that could be, I could tell you some other things that could manipulate your mindset or manipulate your thoughts or decision making. And that is called propaganda. So we fight within our organization to, give people the right information. And that also transcends to when there's election, when people are misinformed or disinformed, it also affects how they make their judgments in terms of political decisions. And that is why we keep going backward instead of forward.
Okay, so I want us to move a little to the economic part of this conversation. So I want to ask, can a country truly grow its economy if many of its people are still illiterate?
A country cannot grow its economy if major part of its population are illiterate. It's impossible. It's impossible. Look at talking about the privation of literacy on the women population, the female population, which has more of uneducated, uneducated in quotes. You know what I mean, literacy. But I use education in this part of the world. So when major part of the population that are uneducated or has lack of literacy are women, what do you expect? The society is formed from the family. The basic foundation of a society is the family. If a woman is uninformed, the children, it affects the children, it affects the decision making of the husband and the children. And then you have a society that's chaotic. That's what you get. You have people that go to school and become bullies. You have children that are malnourished because the mother doesn't have the knowledge of the right portion of meal or the right kind of meal to feed to the children. And when they have malaria, he would think there's obanje somewhere that's causing this illness. So all these are the problems that we need to start fixing by providing free education.
All right, thank you very much, Obina. I want us to look at cultural aspects that sometimes negate women, especially the girl child, from having access to literacy. We live in a world whereby women are believed to be assigned to the kitchen. They are propped up, pampered for marriages, weddings. Even in some parts of the state, they are married off early. That mentality it's also negating literacy, especially for the girl child. The men are believed to work hard, toil the ground, hustle, get good jobs to provide for the family, while the women stay at home and take care of the family. How can we begin to correct this narrative, especially in rural communities?
Yeah, we'll begin, to correct these narratives and that mindset through education. I'll fall back to that literacy again, because it is a basic skill for you to make critical decision. If you don't have the ability to analyze data, analyze situations, it deprives you also the ability to, make critical decisions, informed, we call it professionally informed decision, because informed decision is when you have the pros and cons of a situation and then you decide by yourself what you want to do. And that gives you also the aftermath responsibility to be responsible to your decision because you are well informed before you took that decision. So if people have access to literacy, um, they will, in fact, if you empower somebody, that empowerment is hard for it to be, covered or shrouded or, beclouded. Because can you imagine if you learn how to play piano, as soon as you see piano, you start moving your fingers. That's how it works. When people are educated or get access to literacy, it just changes how they think, and it also influences how they make their decisions and how they behave. So the major step to take is to break that chain of gap, the gap, the divide, the thing that divided people from access to literacy. Those things which I also said about the insecurity, like you said, cultural issues, but understand that culture that are that are not good for humanity, for the people, thrive when people also lack knowledge, when they lack the right knowledge. That is why, for example, in the past, like from the southeast and the south, people used to think that twins should be killed. When you born a child that come out as a twin, it is a taboo. Why? It's because they lacked the knowledge to understand that you know during this thing, children can come out, as the spermatozoa could be divided and then, form two or more than two faults. Is it forties or what? That is called, So education, what government must do, and individuals like myself, philanthropists and organizations must do, is to start, doing everything possible to get people educated. It goes far more beyond economic wealth creation. It also brings peace, reduces and the terrorism.
What I was trying to ask initially was, how can the government step in? Should it be more of like an encouragement or an enforcement for the girl child to be educated? How can the government step in, to persuade parents that they need to enroll their child in a school to get basic education?
Yeah, government should make a law, like you said. First of all, create that environment that encourages education. That environment is by building schools, no matter how beautiful or how big, but let there be schools that's accessible and also making it free and comfortable. How do you make it free and comfortable? You make it free by not taking the tuition fees, whatever fees that people have to pay as school fees, make it free to a certain level, at least primary education to even secondary education, yes. So tertiary education should be paid for, but it should also be subsidized to a certain level. But primary to tertiary to secondary education should be free and affordable and conducive. Conducive in a fact that when a child goes to school, even if his parents doesn't have food for him, You have access to one-time meal. You have access to a meal, and he has access to books. So these are basic rights. And then make a law that criminalizes a parent that do not send the child to school, a child that's or that is a minor. Any minor that's not in school, the parents or whoever that's looking after them should be held accountable. What I'm saying is not what is not obtainable in elsewhere. It happens in Australia. If you're a parent and you have a child that is a minor that's not going to school, you are broken the law. You have broken the law. So if government, first of all, you have to make enabling environment. Let there be school that is free. And then it's now the responsibility of the parent to drop this child to school. So you must have, if you do these basic two things, you have solved big chunk of the problem.
All right, thank you, Mr. Obina. You've really said much about the girl child, which is something I loved so much. But some of the things you said, you mentioned, like the a meal a day.
Meal a day per child.
Per child. The law whereby when an underage is found on the street hawking or selling, the parents will be arrested. I think these are laws that have been made in Nigeria before. These are things that have been said by the government before. But we did not see the effect of these. Do you think the policies, or we didn't feel it?
The enforcement.
The enforcement. So, do you think the policies are just enough? Making the policies, is it just enough to make them? How do we enforce them? Because today we still see many children hawking, selling, doing all sorts of jobs that they are not meant to do. And this is affecting our society as we speak now, because most of them are being misled. What do we need to do? These laws are in place, but we do not have enforcement.
Yeah, I was aware that there was a time these laws were made, and I remember when Buhari introduced this feeding school children, and because the topic we're discussing today is far more different. I'm a political analyst, so I didn't want to venture into that part of the discussion. But you have, kind of giving me a go-ahead to talk about that. So one of the problems we have in Nigeria is corruption and impunity. Corruption and impunity. When people know that they can go around to break the law and come out without paying for it, paying the price for the law breaking. So I don't know if I'm still on air.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much, Obina Ejaya, for your powerful thoughts. Thank you for your insight. You have been very brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Quite a whole lot he said there about education, and I like the fact that you made it known that these laws are also there. It's just the enforcement. I mean, if you go around, just this Lagos Island where we are right now, you see a lot of them, hawking, especially women, young children, and it's quite sad.
It is.
That they're supposed to be in school. And I mean, we get the fact that, okay, you can go to school, then after school to support your
parents.
Yes. You go do some of that, but while you are supposed to be in school, you are hawking, and like you said, some of them are being misled, abused, morally, and all that, and it's not good.
And the fact that we talked about the girl child being educated is very, very important. Culture. I think it's high time our traditional leaders maybe they should be held accountable at some point. Honestly, for the level of illiteracy of the girl child or the woman out there. I am very happy and proud today that I brag about it. My aunt, my grandfather was the first man in his village that sent a girl child to school. So when he was sending my auntie to school, according to my dad, he said, "Why are you sending your daughter to school? After all, she will get married and she will change her surname. So why are you sending her to school?" He said, my dad said that my grandfather said, whether she changes her name or not, she is still my child. That's the foundation of education in my own family. But not every man has that understanding. Not even the women themselves. Some don't have that understanding that, okay, the girl child needs to go to school. Like our guest rightly said, Olumide, if the woman in the home, those of you that are men, you know the kind of wives you have at home. If your wife is not educated, you feel the impact on the child. The malnutrition, the academic performance, and so many things, you know. But when you see that's why when they say, when you train a woman, you train a community.
Yes.
There is a reason for that. So this year's World Literacy Day, I think it is high time we empower women with education. Yes.
Yeah, and it's quite sad that even though the female ones that have been educated, when a man, a suitor comes for them in some part of the country, they bill you with a list and collect all the...
Hey, not all, Olumide. They just tell you we've spent.
Yes, to let you know that they've spent money that is supposed to be their own pride. They retrieve it back from you. As that. But it's World Literacy Day. My own thought is that let's try as much as possible to get everyone out there educated.
Yes.
Because the more educated people we have, the more financially independent person you are, the more you have that ability to create wealth for yourself. It's not everyone that's just going to go to school and get employed. Some would create wealth for themselves. Yes. Some are born to be businessmen, but get that literacy first. Thank you to our guest, Obi Naijaya, for your insight, and thank you for joining us on Just Africa. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the second segment. Stay tuned.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Ilegunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed. Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Interest in Nigeria's lithium reserves comes as countries worldwide scramble to secure supplies of the mineral which is essential for powering the green energy revolution. In this special report by Bayo Olaoye, the need to harness this resource for growth and development is examined with the evolution of electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems. Lithium is a key component in the production of batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems, and Nigeria is positioning itself to become a major player in the global lithium market. Nigeria's vast lithium reserves, valued over $34 billion, is no doubt attracting world attention, while lithium factories are springing up in different parts of Nigeria already. The attention of the international mining industry is also focused on lithium because it is critical raw material for the production of solar panels and electric vehicles. Analysts predict that global lithium market could grow robustly over the next decade, driven by the rapid adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy technologies. Data from a global future market insight showed that the lithium mining industry has emerged as a cornerstone of the clean energy transition, driven by the skyrocketing demand for lithium-ion batteries. The surge in lithium demand is driven largely by the electric vehicles market, which accounted for over 70% of the global lithium consumption in 2024, according to an Iranian-based research firm. With countries such as the United States, China, and members of the European Union pushing for next zero emission by mid-century, lithium demand is expected to escalate further. The federal government, indeed, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, should intensify efforts geared at renewing and resuscitating the viable lithium industry in the country to its full potential. As Nigeria diversifies its economy into other sectors, the lithium industry offers hope and expectation that this sector would earn more revenue for the country. Nigeria should not just watch with folded arms, but must strive with the political will to develop and strengthen the country's vast lithium reserves.
Welcome back to Just Africa, the program where we explore bold ideas shaping the continent's growth and its place in the world. Today, or the second segment, we talk about something many people often push aside until it's too late. That is late retirement wealth. Now, with rising cost of living, uncertain pensions, and changing work patterns, the question of financial security in old age is more urgent than ever. So how can Africans, young and old, build cash flow security starting today rather than waiting till tomorrow? Our second topic is retirement wealth, building cash flow security from today. Joining us to unpack this robust topic is Kayode Okunla. He is a chartered accountant, tax advisor, chartered stockbroker. So glad to have you today, Okunla.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on Just Africa. Now, many Africans rely heavily on family support or small savings during retirement. Why do you think retirement planning is often neglected, and how big is the problem in this side of the continent?
Yeah, thank you. So, what you see is because we are Africans, many times we do not take retirement seriously. The things that take our priority are survivor things, the things that happen in the moment. So you talk about payment of school fees, your housing, daily bills, and sometimes the cultural belief that children will provide for you in your old age. So these are all the things that often lead to a delay or not even doing it at all. Then also you have trust issues. A lot of people have had similar stories of pension arrangements not coming to fruition. So the lack of trust is also there. So all of these, put together, usually delays or even denies people from doing the needful when they should.
All right, so how can Africans, that's the big question, how can they start to build cash flow security from today? Kayode Okonla, I think he has a... All right, so Kayode Okonla is still there?
I'm here.
All right, so I wanted to ask, okay, let's start with this. What is the difference between retirement and cash flow security? Is there any slight difference? Are they similar? Or can you explain the disparities?
Sorry, can you come again with that question?
Retirement saving plan and cash flow security, building cash flow security. Are they similar or are there disparities in both of them?
Yeah, so retirement savings and all, they are just the same. It depends on what you look at it from. So everybody needs to save. Why do you save? You save for eventualities. You save for securities. So every day of our life, you cannot eat out everything you make. So you make savings. So part of the savings you also want to make is your retirement. You have to think of, you're not always going to have the power to be able to make a living and make funds and work. So because you are unable to do that every time, you will need to make sure that you keep a lot so that when your strength will be failing, you have something to keep you going. So retirement is a form of savings. You need savings today to cushion some of your needs, and also you need retirement savings for the future when you cannot even earn physically as much as you would have loved to do when that time comes.
All right, thank you very much. Want to ask, because a few weeks back I was reading a book actually on retirement, and the first thing that came, the person by my side who saw the book was like, why are you reading a book? Why are you reading retirement book? You are still very young. You don't have to read all these kind of books now. So I want to ask, at what time should one start making plans for retirement?
To be honest with you, uh, do you still hear me? I kind of
Yes, please go ahead.
your question.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, at what time should the younger ones start having the plan, start saving, start thinking about their retirement? Because I had an experience where I was reading a book on retirement and someone felt I was too young to start reading such books. Is there a stipulated time when one can start making plans for his or her retirement?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. So the truth is that there is no time you can start. As a matter of fact, once you start your first employment and you start earning, that's the time to start. What that does for you is that when you start early, you have less pressure and you have a longer time to contribute towards your retirement. So if you start at age 25, you can and you need to meet a specific target, right? You agree with me that if you need that same target when you're starting at age 40, you will have to contribute more to meet that same target. You will have lost that 15 years of grace. So of being able to do it little and moderately. So the time to start is the first day you get your own paycheck as fully employed. That's when to start thinking.
Okay, so are you saying that retirement plan has to do, or retirement wealth, I mean to say, has to do with just savings? Is that what the retirement wealth is all about?
No. So when you're talking about your retirement, first is you need to analyze your situation. So you analyze your once you analyze your situation, then you arrange as to, okay, do I want to go uh, about my retirement? So what that will lead you to is to determine your portfolio, the bucket of your retirement. So how am I going to put hold my asset? So you want to structure your asset into, okay, I'm going to need, once I estimate my expenses, then I'm say, okay, I have what I'm saving for cash purposes. I have what I'm saving for growth. I have what I'm saving to meet health challenges in old age. The truth is that there's an adage in my language that will say that àgbà ò kí ń kọ́yàn kó fìyàn sílẹ̀, that you cannot get old. Once you start getting old, it's irreversible. You are going to find yourself getting there. So the point is that how do you want to get there? So that's the point. So once you know that you are eventually going to get old, you are eventually going to need funds in your retirement, then the best thing for you to do is to start planning, right? The earlier you start your plans, the easier it is for you to navigate your old age, because old age is real.
All right, thank you very much, Okola. So, some people, businessmen, are of the fact that instead of saving, why not invest? Now, from pensions to mutual funds, real estate to small businesses, these options can feel overwhelming. So, if I may ask, in your own experience and expertise, what financial tools or investments are best suited for Africans who want to build, a reliable retirement wealth?
Yeah, so if you look at it critically, as you have several and many investment outlets to place your retirement savings into. So you have the cash aspect. You have the of course the cash aspect will all allow you to meet your needs as I went do in terms of short term. Then you have the stock and real estate. Those ones will help you to mitigate against the risk, mitigate against inflation risk. Then you can also have FX denominated securities like Euro bonds, especially the ones issued by the Nigerian government. Those ones will help you against currency risk. Then you can also go into alternate investment. The problem I see with Africans is that we don't start early. And I give you an instance. So you have a guy who has been just saving his funds, and he has a year or two to to retirement, and then he wants to start a business. then a business that he has not tested before, a business he doesn't know anything about. He just hear that somebody said this business is profitable. Then he takes all his retirement savings to start a business he knows nothing about. So what you see, and we have seen it severally, is that he will lose the money because you don't just throw money on businesses that you have no knowledge about. So there is timing. You must test the water. You must learn, and you must be willing to listen to professionals who can guide you. If you have a proper balanced portfolio, if you lose one, you still have others. Or rather than just jumping at any investment that comes your way, and you just put all your risk in one basket, and if that basket happens to be a bad one or the leaky one, then you lose everything.
All right, so thank you very much. You are a chartered accountant and a chartered stockbroker. So in your own field, do you think rather than saving, investing in bonds, stocks might be wiser, looking at the risk of investing with the need for also long-term stability? Is that a wise decision?
Yeah, so like I said, right? As you age, every human being, right? You have various needs, right? So you are going to need to meet your short-term expenses, your bills. You are going to need that. Then you are going to need funds that you want to make sure that it keeps growing. As economic variables changes, your funds doesn't become I don't want to use the word useless, but doesn't become negatively impacted. So you must ensure that you are not just only saving, but you are investing. So as you invest, then you must choose your investment wisely so that whatever economic variables doesn't impact you negatively. For instance, if you say you are saving 100 million, right, and you are not investing it, you just keeping it in the current account, because of inflationary pressure, your purchasing power will be affected by inflation. Same person or another person with the same amount of money that has put the money in a compounding interest stock will be better off than you, right? Another person who just say, okay, I'm not going to put everything in compounding instrument. I'm going to split it and put some in equity and put some in real estate. Most likely, if they balance the risk very well, they may be better than someone that just put everything in compounding in interest security, and also be much better than someone that just left the money in his current account. Because putting your money in current account and doing nothing about it is just like you putting your money under your pillow in your house. So savings is good, but what you do with your savings is much more of greater concern to whoever that is trying to retire and retire at peace without pressure.
All right, thank you very much. I want to ask, you are a tax advisor as well, irrespective of the other titles. So I want to ask, what tax reform do you think can be in place to encourage people to save and invest for their retirement?
Yeah, so for now, right? We already have some provisions of the law, right? That helps people, that encourage people to save. For instance, if you can have your pension funds contribution, right, helps to reduce your tax payable, right? So that's an incentive for you. Then you also have what you call provision for additional top up. So instead of the minimum 8% contribution by employees, right, you can pay additionally. You can top up your own, so that will also qualify you for tax savings, and because you are encouraged to save. Another thing you're looking at is you can do life insurance. So the premium you pay for your own life insurance and your spouse's life insurance also is tax deductible, right? Then you can also have what is called your health insurance too. That also will also have. Then what I would love to see is delayed if we can stagger. For instance, in Canada that I know, right, you are allowed such income you earn towards retirement, right? If you push your investment, the time you are going to spend the money, if you push it to your later years, you are taxed at a lower rate compared to if you enjoy the money when you are still active. How do I mean? So if I have a 100,000 naira, for instance, right, and I choose not to spend it today, my tax, let's say my effective tax rate today is about 25, 26%, right, that I'll pay in income. If I choose to take that 100,000, right, and I invest it into a future investment that will pay me annuity in my retirement. So if I'm doing it here in Canada, by the time I'm getting that funds back, I will be taxed at a lower rate, right? So that is also something I hope uh, we will get to in Nigeria as we progress in reviewing our tax laws.
Thank you very much. But some persons complain that pension systems in Nigeria particularly are weak, and most times they are mismanaged. So what would you profess as a solution? Should there be stricter laws to stop pension funds from being mismanaged, or what do you think can be done?
Well, so to be honest, a lot of people say things and they do have their reasons for saying them, but I'm not going to completely align that the pension funds have been mismanaged because I do not have the fact to go along with that. However, regulations of financial assets, especially when it comes to people's old age savings, cannot be enough. You have to continue to refine it. You have to continue to block all loopholes. You have to continue to ensure that the funds manager are not reckless in their choice of assets they are putting in the basket. And the country has to continue to develop and evolve new asset classes or asset investment vehicles that you can see. Before now, you do have a lot of pension funds going into money market and equity. So there have been a school of thought that sometimes because we have too much money going into the equity side, it helps to push prices up, and and they can easily lose this fund.
Ola, if I may come in there, please let's go on a short break and we'll be right back.
Two widely used and deeply troubling terms dominate discussions around Nigerian emigration: japa and brain drain. Japa, a word that has made its way into the Oxford English Dictionary, means to leave Nigeria for another country, often Europe or America, in pursuit of education, job opportunities, or better economic prospects. It also connotes to escape or to flee. The second term, brain drain, refers to the outflow of skilled professionals, doctors, engineers, academics, and more, leaving Nigeria to contribute their talents to other nations. As a patriot, one might argue that both